The Miami Dolphins got some great news to kick off this Labor Day weekend. Head coach Mike McDaniel signed a contract extension. We'll break down all of that. A familiar name, or I guess I should say face, was added to the practice squad. Shout out to Robbie Chosen. And we also have some Dolphins injury news to touch on for Aaron Brewer and Jaelan Phillips and their status for Week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll kick off, though, not against the Jaguars, but with Coach Mike McDaniel. Jeff Darlington of ESPN broke the news, saying Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel signed a new contract that extends him through the 2028 season. Under McDaniel, the Dolphins had the top-ranked offense in the NFL in 2023, which was the first time Miami did that since 1994. They also had their first back-to-back playoff appearances in 23 years. I'm told McDaniel has an especially strong working relationship with GM Chris Greer and CEO Tom Garfinkel and cap guru Brandon Shore. It's the type of cohesive group that owner Steve Ross covets. Playoff wins are obviously the final piece to the puzzle, but the organization believes McDaniel's the coach to lead them there. And I just want to say congratulations to Coach McDaniel. I'm glad that he received the stability in his contract and will be guaranteed to be here for at least the next 4 seasons. And now, I guess saying guaranteed to be here is a little bit of a stretch considering, well, if he goes really poorly over the next 2 years, they can just fire him. But I don't forecast that happening with how good of a coach he is. I believe he's a good leader of men. Obviously, he's got one of the best offensive minds in all of football. And with this talented roster that Miami has put together, that is going to be here for the next 2 to 3 years. I think McDaniel is guaranteed to be the Dolphins head coach for 3-4 years to come, and I am excited for that and excited for the future of this football team. More to comment, but I want to make sure you spread the word here at Dolphins Today. If you have a friend, family member that might not have seen the Coach McDaniel extension news, share this video to them. Breaking news, share it to them. Make sure they are the most informed Dolphins fans they can possibly be. And I already know you are because you are subscribed and watching today's video. Just make sure you help everyone else and share today's show. All right, Mike McDaniel has been very solid as Dolphins head coach. 20-16 record through his first 2 seasons. I am excited for year 3, and I know a lot of people are concerned about McDaniel and the shortcomings that have happened late in the year, right, with the not showing up in the playoffs against the Kansas City Chiefs, not finishing against good teams, not playing well on the road in cold conditions. But I just really think that's going to change, man. And as Dolphins fans, I think we can all agree that stability in this front office, in this coaching staff, is just something that we can be very happy about. I mean, I don't want to bring up the past coaches like Brian Flores and other coaches that were before him that just could not get the job done and stay here long term and really have this team humming in the right direction. I think Mike McDaniel clearly is doing that for the Fins, and I'm excited to see where he can take us because I truly do believe it can be a deep playoff run this year and years to come. Get fired up. Are you pumped up that Mike McDaniel's locked in here in the Dolphins organization until 2028? There should only be one answer, and it should be your whys. So type Y for yes, and I'm not giving you another option. Get fired up about Coach McDaniel being locked in. All right, practice squad news here. Robbie Chosen is back with the Dolphins, but Robbie Anderson was the receiver last year for the Miami Dolphins. It cracks me up how many times he's changed his name, but either way, welcome him back. He is on the Dolphins practice squad, and if you remember last season, he played a couple games for Miami and had 4 receptions, 126 yards, and 1 touchdown, including that 75-yarder where he cooked Patrick Surtain in the Dolphins' famous 70-20 win, or whatever the final score actually was. But in all honesty, and not joking around, there is some actual importance of him being on this practice squad because we know that the Dolphins have 5 active wide receivers right now. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington, Braxton Berrios, and Grant Dubose, who they claimed off waivers on Wednesday from the Green Bay Packers. And now when you think about what Miami has on the practice squad, they've added 3 wide receivers in Dwayne Eskridge, Erik Ezukanma, and then now Robbie Chosen. And with Malik Washington maybe not being able to be the most impactful player week 1 and week 2 in important games against Jacksonville and Buffalo, I think it's important to have some experienced wide receivers on your P squad if you feel like you need to elevate them for that game. And I think that is very much going to be a possibility for the Dolphins, specifically Robbie Chosen, who has obviously experience playing alongside Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but also in this Mike McDaniel offense playing in meaningful NFL Sunday games. More to come here, but I want to make sure you are subscribed to the channel because you need to be locked in for all Miami Dolphins news, whether it is big-time news or smaller news like Robbie Chosen, big-time news being McDaniel. We're going to cover it all here at the channel. So hit that sub button. We're on the road to 59K. Let's get there before week 1. I think it's possible. All right, I'm actually fine with staying put at wide receiver now. And I know I've said that the Dolphins need to go out there and add some more wide receivers to this roster, but after having the players we have on the P squad, I actually feel comfortable because even though Eskridge is really never put together, he's an experienced guy who's been in the Seahawks organization for quite a while. Robbie Chosen knows what to do, and I think Erik Ezukanma can be a fine depth piece. So with the 8 total wide receivers, if you span across the practice squad and 53-man roster, I'm cool with that. I don't think they need to go out and sign anyone. I think those 8 guys can hold it down until OBJ and River Craycraft return after the first 4 weeks of the season. But I will say, though, when you look at what the Dolphins offense is going to do in the first 4 weeks of the year with no OBJ and River Craycraft as they're on PUP and IR respectively, I would expect to see a lot of 2 tight end sets, and I would expect to see a lot of 2 running back sets. Now, I think Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are going to be on the field quite a lot here, and we're going to try to see how much they can really push. Now, I know Waddle's still dealing with a little bit of an injury, so hopefully he's going to be ready to go. But Jonnu Smith is going to be playing a massive role for this team. And I'm telling you, buy stock now in Jonnu Smith. I think he is going to be one of the most heavily involved players on the Miami Dolphins offense through the first 3 weeks of the season. I don't know if you play fantasy football, and I know we care about Dolphins wins and nothing about fantasy football, but if you do play fantasy football, go draft Jonnu Smith, go pick him up because he is going to get a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of pop passes, a lot of gadget plays, but I also think Tua is going to look for him over the middle of the field because when he's matched up against linebackers and safeties, he is a mismatch problem due to his size, strength, and speed. He's also a top 3 yak tight end in the NFL, right there with Travis Kelce, George Kittle. I think Jonnu Smith is going to play a massive role for this team, and I think you're going to see a lot of Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert in the backfield, Smith and Smythe, with also Hill and Waddle. I'm very fascinated to see what Mike McDaniel has in store for the Dolphins, and I already know he's game planning a lot for 2 wide receiver, 2 tight end sets with 2 running backs as well. All right, as we get closer to week 1, make sure you are representing the Miami Dolphins every single day. You can do that with this sweet quarter zip. This is just one example, but they also have orange, they have aqua, they have white. Get your quarter zips right now. chatsports.com/DolphinsQZip is the link. It's going to be in the description and comments. A little old school Dolphins logo there. I absolutely love it. And if you've been subscribed to the channel, you know I actually have this and I've worn it a couple times on the show. So make sure you get yours today. Let's break down some Dolphins injury news for the Fins as they get closer to week 1. And there are 2 players that statuses are a little bit up in the air in Jaelan Phillips and Aaron Brewer. But one of them might have said they are good to go. Jaelan Phillips yesterday, talking to the media, said that he is rolling, ready to go. Specifically, my Achilles didn't get sore at all and didn't react at all. There is no rebound, no weakness. I feel grateful and blessed. And with Jaelan Phillips saying himself that he does not feel sore, he feels no weakness, he has no concern about his get off from the line of scrimmage in that Achilles, then he is going to play week 1. And I said this a couple weeks ago when he was originally lifted off of the PUP list so far in advance to when he needed to be at the 53-man roster cutdown day. I thought he was going to be ready to play week 1. And with the Dolphins keeping only 5 edges with Phillips, Quentin Bell, Chop, Mohamed Kamara, and Emmanuel Agba, and then Phillips saying that yesterday afternoon, it is very clear to me that Jaelan Phillips is going to play week 1. And we can argue which news is more great for Miami in this video between McDaniel being extended and Jaelan Phillips being ready to go week 1, because with Bradley Chubb out at minimum the first 4 games, you're going to need someone to take the burden of being the lead edge rusher. And I think that is going to be Jaelan Phillips, who is on pace to have a career year last season before that Achilles tear. He needs to lead the charge, and he needs to get after the quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, and Josh Allen in the first 4 weeks of the season for this Dolphins defense to be able to have the impact I believe they'll be able to have. All right, one last piece of injury news for Miami. Aaron Brewer. Coach Mike McDaniel declined to comment on Aaron Brewer's status for week 1 against Jacksonville, citing that it is a competitive advantage or disadvantage for him to announce the true status of Aaron Brewer. So I know it's just a center. It's not the most important thing. And listen, the Jacksonville Jaguars are probably not going to change their game plan if Aaron Brewer is playing or not playing. But that status of Brewer is probably not going to be shared until real closer to week 1. So make sure you are subscribed, because Wednesday, Thursday of next week, when those initial depth charts are being released, those initial injury reports are being released, we'll probably have a clear image on Aaron Brewer. We're also having a real Dolphins football game in a week and a couple of days. So hit that sub button, because it's going to be a very fun season here at Dolphins Today, and don't miss a beat surrounding anything for this football team.